Step Up Nation, welcome aboard, and it is ITJ. And today I want to talk about a conversation that a lot of people have been asking me, and I thought, well, let's bring it on here and talk about it. And the question is, how does one start a business in South Africa? Or how do I start a business in South Africa? A real estate business. So that's what we want to cover up in terms of starting off a new business of real estate. That's the question. So, can anyone start a real estate business? Yes, you can. But the question is how, and that's what I want to address today. Now, let I define that, because I think there might be a misconception of, when you're starting off a business in real estate, and then the default thinking is that you can start off a business by being an estate agent. Well, that's not really true, because there are so many aspects in real estate that one can do. Like, for instance, I've got a business in the real estate side, but I've never been a real estate agent. So does that make me not running a real estate business? Not necessarily so, right? So let's start defining in terms of what is that business, because you could also be running a maintenance business, a construction business, maybe a law firm that does particularly in real estate, and it's another form of a business of real estate. So the question that I want to ask or to address to is, let's dive in deeper into which business are you talking about, or which business specifically are you wanting to unearth for you to start a business? So starting a business in real estate in South Africa is a very wide statement, and we need to bring it to a particular point. And I'm going to start off by talking to two businesses that I know that I've done, and within these two we can talk about them at length on how you can start them, because I've started them, I've run them successfully, so I can teach you, or we can talk about how to do that. Number one, business. So how can you start off a real estate business in South Africa? And that business is an estate agent. An estate agent. So you're a realtor, you're selling properties for a profession, or you're managing properties as a profession. That's what you do. Well, there are a few requirements around that. And obviously you need to have a business, registered business. And over and above that, you need to have a bit of qualifications, and those qualifications, you can attain them by either working into the business, and you can go to school and you can learn how to do it and write exams. That's why the real estate board is all about. Now, for some of you, you might be thinking, oh, okay, so is a real estate agent, the guy that I interact every day, is that person a business person? Or are they an agent? Are they an employee? There's many of them. Let's just talk about a real estate agent. A real estate agent is a person who is just like you and I. Maybe at some point we are employees, and with that we work for a boss. And that boss, generally they have a license and they are called a principal. Within the principal, some of them might own that business, or they might be an estate agent as well, but also be a principal, and they are just an employee. And there is nothing wrong with that. I know many of my mates, many of my estate agents that I work with that are like that. And some of them specialize in a particular area within the real estate of buying, or not buying, but particularly of selling properties. So they acquire the stock from somewhere else, and then they sell it on your behalf. So they trade the stock, right? You give them as a seller your property, they market it, and out there it goes out, you pay them a commission. So the business aspect of it is within the commission. That's where they make their moolah. In general terms, they make their moolah from anything from 1%, yes, I've seen those, to as far as 10%. I have seen that. So in another aspect, another estate agent could be a real estate agent, and with that there could be a principal, or there might not be a principal, and they might own their business, and they report to a principal who is outside their business. I've seen that before. Now, having said that, I also then want to say that person is running their own business. So you might find out the interaction of that particular person, because they're a business owner, it could be different because they run the business. But in a nutshell, the bottom line of starting off, this I'm talking about now, the estate agent who is getting stock and then selling it, right? Getting stock and selling it, and they earn a commission. That's the simplest way. So you can either become an estate agent, get a principal, and you go to business. Boom. That's what it is. Or you can then work up the ladder from being an estate agent, you become a principal. At a principal level, you start your own business. You got the skill and you can start a business. Running a business, ladies and gentlemen, is a little bit different compared to being an employee within the business. And on this channel, we talk about how you can step up for you to be able to get to the next level. And the next level, you know it because you know where you are today. The other aspect of starting a business in real estate that I'd like to address is the type of business that I do. So, I own properties where I predominantly buy properties and I hold them for selling. Not for selling, but I hold them for rental purposes. So for some people, they might label me as an investor. For some people, they might label me different labels. But the bottom line is that I'm a businessman. So what do? I buy properties in a business, in my normal company. And out of that, I rent out these properties. And when I rent out the properties, I make sure that in between my rentals that I'm getting and my repayment of my bonds and things like that, I am getting profits. For as long as I'm getting profits, I do have a business. If I'm not getting any profits, I'm making a loss. At some point, I might be forced to close down my business. So, having said that, these are two different types of businesses that one can easily do within the real estate. And how you can start those businesses, simply put, number one, you need to start a business. So a company of sort that you need to start. Number two, if you are going into specialize into the selling aspect that we spoke about earlier on, then the business, it's about being an estate agent. There's a bit of compliance that you need to have for you to be able to do that. A bit of schooling that you need to do that. And you can also sell those properties as and when you get them. On the other aspect, you can step up your game by, number one, this is now where you are dealing with specifically buying your own properties and your rent. It's a business again. I have seen many people that don't make it a business or run it as a business. All they do is they buy properties and with that in their personal names and they rent it out. They call those investments. And I don't know whether that's the right way, but in my previous life, I have done, or in my other initiatives that I do, particularly at Empire Property Addicts, where I say to people, do not buy properties in your name, especially if you're doing it for investments, because you are an entity who is not designed to manage investments. You're not the right vehicle for you to do that. But anyway, that's a learning curve that we can all have at one point or the other. Let me jump on to talk about my business, the one that I do. I buy properties and I rent them out. What are the steps? Again, I need to acquire a company of sort. And within that, there's different types of companies, and which company is right for you. We will do that video in the next couple of days. Now, over and above that, when you've got your company, then what? The next step is that obviously you now need to buy your properties. When you buy your properties, the properties will sit in there, whether they are assets or liabilities. Now your company is becoming functional. You start running your company as normal as possible so that you are in profit. And as and when you are getting profits, your business is bingo. Do you need any form of compliance compared to being an estate agent? Not necessarily so, because you are literally buying your own assets. Do you need any compliance to buy your property? No, you don't. You need the moolah, money, yes, back, right? And once you buy that, the properties belong to the company and you run that company and it becomes successful. It is simple like that. How about if we are talking about other businesses? So there could be other businesses that you can do in the real estate. For instance, being a construction company. A construction company is very different from what I've spoken about. And I did a video the other day where you can literally be able to see that on how you can start a construction or development business. The compliance is very different from being an estate agent. So, having said all of this, the real question that we should be asking ourselves here is, what type of a business are you wanting to do? And within that business, do you need compliance? If you're compliant, if you're not compliant yet, can you start and be compliant whilst you're operating the business? And if the answer is yes, if the answer is no, that's the homework that you need to do. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you become, or you start stepping up into your game, because you are beginning to be aware of your risks that are associated with your business whilst you are moving from the step where you are to the next step. And hopefully in all of that, you are stepping up your game to be making some money. My name is TJ. I will check you out on the next video. However, before I go, I just want to ask the question. Has this information been helpful? And if it has been, let me know in the description or in the comments. Hit me up with some comments. And if you are new to our channel, welcome aboard. This is Step Up Your Game, where we talk anything and everything about stepping up your game. I've started off a couple of businesses, closed some, made some money, lost some money. And my goal on this channel is to make sure that you are able to step up your game into prosperity.